على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم تقبل منا صيامنا وقيامنا وجميع أعمالنا. آمين يا رب. Inshallah, tonight we're going to continue from where we left off last night. What did we speak about last night? Who could remember the topic? If you remember the topic, that means alhamdulillah, we did well. I know somebody got to remember. Church, you always remember. We spoke about al-amru bil ma'rufi wa nahyu anil munkar. We spoke about ordaining good and forbidding evil, alright, which is part of the deen. We mentioned that if we were in a building, if you work in a building, alright, and you work in a 10-story building, for instance, and you found out that there was a fire on the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor has a fire. And you have this information, you have knowledge about this fire on the 3rd floor. Would you leave the building and not tell anyone? Of course not, right? Of course not. That's the answer. Of course not. It's natural to tell people. Why? Because of the danger that lurks behind you keeping that information, all right? So we call that kitmanul ilm, hiding beneficial knowledge, which is a sin in the religion of Islam. So similarly, when it comes to the religion of Islam, when we have knowledge, we should share it. Beneficial knowledge. So if you know that there's a fire on the 3rd floor, you will alert everyone and let them know. Stay away, and maybe the alarms are not going off, this is not going off. You alert everyone. Similarly, when it comes to the religion of Islam, we should spread the da'wah. You should spread the message of Islam. Those who have knowledge should convey it to the others. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ said before he left this dunya, right? He advised us on the day of Arafah. He said, those who are present, let them convey the message to those who are absent. So as Muslims, when we start off with having the knowledge that we have to share it with others. Share it with our relatives, share it with those who are closest to us, and then to our neighbors and friends and so on and so forth. And part of the knowledge is the religion of Islam. Everything we know about Islam, the reality of this world. What is this world for? You might have a friend where you work and he has no idea why he was created. He has no idea what his purpose of life is. So can you remind him? What would you tell him? In a nice way. How would you convey the message? What would you tell him his purpose of life is? Huh?
To worship his creator.
To worship Allah. To worship Allah. That is his purpose in life. Alright? If he was to do that, inshallah ta'ala, he will find happiness. He will find happiness despite if he goes through problems or not. Okay? So we must convey the message. When it comes to the salawat, the obligatory pillars of Islam and so on and so forth, I'm sure many of us, we may know Muslims that may not be performing the salah as they should, or they may not be praying at all. We as Muslims, we have to convey this message of Islam to them. Okay, we have to implement whatever we learn and practice it in our religion, in our lives, and convey it to others. If not, we would be like that person who knows the building is on fire, he's slowly escaping, coming down the staircase, and he sees everyone going up and he doesn't tell them anything. Okay? Because we know what comes after death. What comes after death? Who can tell me? Yeah, the life of the barzakh. And the life of the barzakh can be a place of bliss or a place of punishment, right? And then after, what comes after that? After when we're resurrected, inshallah ta'ala, what comes next? The day of judgment. Okay? And the barzakh is just an introduction of what's coming. So we know that there's no such thing as resting in peace, R.I.P. so-and-so. There's no such thing as that. It's either he's going to be given a pit from the pits of hellfire, or his grave is going to be a garden from the gardens of Jannah. A beautiful place. So as Muslims, we have to convey this knowledge, convey the religion of Islam. So we spoke about it, and we mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that described to us the 3 steps or the 3 maratib of ordaining good and forbidding evil. The 3 steps of ordaining good and forbidding evil. And it was the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, مَنْ رَأَ مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ فَإِنْ لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَبِلِسَانِهِ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. if you see something that's wrong, the first thing to do is if you have the authority, how do you change it? With your hands. You change with your hands. And it doesn't necessarily mean hitting or anything like that. Islam is not a violent religion. But it means use the physical authority that you have. So you see your children doing something wrong, you can physically go and take that and remove that. This is not allowed. Allah is not pleased with that. Give me that. Put that in the garbage. One example. Alright? It could be waking your children up. Your children are now waking up for salah. You're going to keep trying to convince them, rationalize with them while they're sleeping. Sometimes it needs what? Lift them off the bed. Put a little bit of water. Sprinkle some water in his face. Get up. Whatever you need to do, get him up. This is you changing something that you see going wrong with your hands. You use that authority that Allah has given you. When you don't have the authority, the Prophet ﷺ said, then you should change it with your tongue. So you speak against it. Okay, you see someone at your work, a colleague or whoever it is, or even if it's a relative, but you don't have that level of authority to change it with your hands, you admonish him with the language that you know, the shared language. You try to encourage him to do good. You rationalize with him so that he would stay away from it. Okay? And if you don't have the means to do either, alright, maybe you're afraid if you speak out you'll get punished, alright, or that is the situation, what do? Hate it in your heart. And that's important. Because slowly you see a time is coming where those who speak out are getting in trouble, even in this country. You speak out, you're getting in trouble. So the least you can do is hate it in your heart. You have to hate it in your heart. Alright, you have to remind yourself that this is something that's not pleasing to Allah. There's injustice. Alright, and you want to speak out, but you feel like you can't. So those are the three levels, the maratib of changing that which is wrong and ordaining that which is good. So as Muslims, you have to think about your situation and see who are the people in your life that are around you that you need to convey this message to. Think of the best way you can convey it and make that a responsibility. Ask Allah to guide you. Ask Allah to help you to convey the message. It might be a colleague, someone that you're a good friend with. You went to school together, went to high school or middle school together. You have to convey the message. And as I told you, in the society we live in, right, the norm is that you mind your own business. That's the norm, right? You do your thing, I do my thing. You stay in your lane, I stay in my lane. But is it your business what your brother or sister or your friend does? Is it your business? It is your business. It is your business. Okay? There's an ayah where it says in the Quran, "Alaykum anfusukum, alaykum anfusukum, la yadurrukum man dalla idha ihtadaytum." Worry about yourselves. It's not going to affect you whoever goes astray. La yadurrukum, it doesn't affect you who goes astray as long as you follow the straight path. So you may think that this ayah means, well, as long as I'm praying and I'm trying to practice the deen, it doesn't matter what the other people do. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he gave a khutbah. He gave a talk, and then he told the people, he said, I hear you reciting this ayah, the ayah that I just recited. But you're not understanding the ayah as you should understand it. Alright? He said, this ayah means you have to give da'wah to others. Because part of you being on the right path, that you are guided, is that you give da'wah to others. After you give da'wah to others, then it doesn't affect you if the person listens or not. It doesn't affect you. You've done your part. You've freed yourself by conveying this message. And each one of us, we're going to have people within our circle that we can give da'wah to. Starting with those closest to us. So as Muslims, we have to realize that this is a responsibility for us. And الدال على الخير كفاعله. If you want to do business with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's the best of those you can do business with, alright, business tijara, meaning you do good deeds and Allah will reward you. You spend from what He's given you, Allah will reward you. You use the effort and knowledge that Allah has given you, He will reward you generously. Then convey the message of Islam to others. Okay, practice it and convey it to others and be patient. So in this hadith that I want to read to you, it gives us an example of those who say that, worry about your own selves, don't worry about others, as long as you follow the straight path, don't worry about anyone else. We said no. Yes, you follow the straight path, but following the straight path means that you give da'wah, you call others as well. So there's a hadith by Nu'man ibn Bashir radiyallahu anhuma. He said that the Prophet ﷺ said, مثل القائم في حدود الله والواقع فيها كمثل قوم An example of someone who is establishing the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, he's upon the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, he's upon the Sharia. An example of someone who's violating and transgressing the limits of the Sharia is like a group of people. Let's listen to this group of people. قوم استهموا على سفينة. Okay, they both decided, there's two groups and they're going onto a ship. Alright, they're going onto this ship. The ship has two levels, level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is all the way to the bottom of the ship. Level 2 is on top of the ship. Istahamu, so they, like flip the coin or whatever they do, whatever they did to decide who goes in the front, who goes on the top, who goes on the bottom. Right? فَصَارَ بَعْضُهُمْ أَعْلَاهَا وَبَعْضُهُمْ أَسْفَلَهَا. So some of them ended up going on the bottom, some ended up going on the top. Everyone can't fit on one level. وَكَانَ الَّذِينَ أَسْفَلَهَا إِذَا اسْتَقَوْا مِنَ الْمَاءِ مَرُّوا عَلَى مَنْ فَوْقَهُمْ فَقَالُوا. Those who were at the bottom, when they wanted to get water, they had to go to the top. They had to cross the people, cross by the ones that are on top, go up to the second floor and pass by them, right? فَقَالُوا, so they said, لَوْ أَنَّ خَرَقْنَا فِي نَصِيبِنَا خَرْقًا وَلَمْ نُؤْذِ مَنْ فَوْقَهَا. They said, why don't we just make a little hole in the bottom of the ship here, man? We keep going up there, bothering these people. Every time we got to go by, get somewhere, we have to go through and see all these people, and I want to just make a little hole in the bottom of the ship. Make life easy, right? Okay? So what do you think about that? Smart, right? Why work hard? Work smart, right? They're working smart. The smart workers. So then in Tarakum said, so the hadith says, فَإِن تَرَكُوهُمْ, if the ones on top on the second floor, تَرَكُوهُمْ, leave them, allow them in the bottom to do whatever they want. They said, listen man, we're on top. Those guys in the bottom, we have no business with them. Let them do whatever they want to do. Just like the ones who say, man, don't worry about this one and that one and this one's family. If they pray, they pray. If they don't pray, they don't pray. If they seek knowledge, who cares about them? I'm worried about my family. Alright? That mentality, that's the mentality that we said is not permissible. That's a wrong understanding of the religion of Islam. The hadith says, فَإِن تَرَكُوهُمْ وَمَا أَرَادُوا هَلَكُوا جَمِيعًا. If they were to leave them, the ones on top were to leave the ones at the bottom to do whatever they wanted to do, alright? What would happen? هَلَكُوا جَمِيعًا. All of them are going to sink in that ship. All of them are going to sink in the ship, right? Top and bottom, alright? وَإِنْ أَخَذُوا عَلَى أَيْدِيهِمْ. But if they were to do what they were supposed to do, which is ordain what is good, forbid what is evil, if they were to hold them back, hold their hands back. So here the hadith is going, using the example of the authority that they had. It is so imperative that they not make that hole at the bottom. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, if they were to hold their hands back. So they all agree at the bottom, yes, we're going to make that hole. Hold their hands back so they can't make that hole at the bottom of the ship. Alright? And if they were to do that, najaw, all of them will be saved on the ship. So this shows the example of giving da'wah and ordaining good and forbidding evil. So as Muslims, we are all one ummah. We are one ummah. What our brothers and sisters do in one part of the world is going to affect all of us. What we do in this part of the world is going to affect our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. Right? That's if you look at it globally. If you look at it within a community, our community here, Central Florida. In Central Florida, if you have family or relatives and you know that they're following the wrong stuff, okay, should it be your business to advise them? Yes. It is your business. It is your business. And if you want success in your life, then you should want success in their lives as well. Okay? Just think about the issue of marriage. When everyone wants to get married, they're looking for a good boy for their daughter, a good daughter for their son. Okay? Where are you going to go? Are you going to go within your same house and find someone? No. You're going to go see who's around there. So by you giving da'wah to others and wanting good for other families, it's going to make things easy for yourself in the future. Inshallah ta'ala. This is just one example. Okay, if you spread the deen and spread the religion of Islam, spread the correct understanding, inshallah your wife will have a friend from another family that they can advise one another with goodness. So the problem is when we stop giving da'wah and we focus on ourselves, okay, and we forget about everyone else, this is not from Islam. And remember Surah Al-Asr, everyone's in a state of loss, right? We're all losers here, except if we have these 4 qualities. What are those 4 qualities? Number 1, Iman. You have to have Iman. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Number 2, عَمِلُوا صَالِحَاتٍ. What is عَمِلُوا صَالِحَاتٍ? Do good deeds. Number 3, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. This is da'wah. Da'wah, you give each other, you share the message and you advise one another to follow the truth. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And number 4, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Have patience. So as Muslims, we should all be busy in giving da'wah. Da'wah is everybody's business, inshallah ta'ala. But everyone gives according to their level, alright, according to their knowledge that they have gained. And inshallah ta'ala, if we all do our part, things will be better and brighter, inshallah ta'ala, for our generation and the next generations to come. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us tawfiq and understanding of the deen. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us the ability to implement what we learn. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاك الله خير.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا